The L-sit is a display of basic core and hip flexor strength. The technique involves keeping our arms and legs locked straight and then simply hovering the feet above ground level. Easy, right? Most people when first starting out will struggle to get the feet off the ground, and then they often joke, "Ugh, my legs are too long for this, I guess." For everyone else who can get their feet above the ground, it's met with a sudden case of Parkinson's and really uncomfortable cramping. This video will cover a super effective protocol for lengthening and strengthening the lower body, specifically for the L-sit position. Let's increase your hold time. Hey guys, Daniel Vadnal for FitnessFAQs. First, we need to determine what the main limitation is preventing you from getting into a strong L-sit position. Is it passive hamstring flexibility, or is it hip flexor weakness, or a combination of both? If you can hold the 90-degree L-sit position without your hands, but it's a real effort to maintain, you have room to progress with hip flexor strength, and this should be your training priority. If you can't maintain an upright back and are slumped backwards, it's likely your hip flexors are weak. Let's take a look to see if the hamstrings are holding you back. If you can pull yourself forward and towards the knees, it's unlikely that tight hamstrings are the main weak link for your L-sit. My hamstring flexibility isn't the best as I'm flexing the lower back and I'm unable to tilt the pelvis anteriorly. This isn't a major issue for the L-sit as it doesn't really require a tremendous amount of hamstring flexibility. The main thing I want you to take away from this section is if you can at least reach the 90-degree L-sit position actively without using your hands, hamstrings aren't the main issue. Now let's take a look at my huge calves and remarkably low calf insertions. I'm being sarcastic here, fellas, clearly #TeamNoCalves. What I want to say is the main calf muscle crosses both the ankle and the knee. If you practice L-sits with the toes extended towards your knees, it will give the perception of tight hamstrings, but it may be your calves which are in fact not very flexible. This means the L-sit will be harder for you to hold and you'll actually feel tighter and more uncomfortable holding an L-sit. Instead, what I recommend is pointing the toes. The biggest help from today's video for you guys will be hip flexor strengthening. Let's start with the easiest drill to improve hip flexor strength for the L-sit, and this is the dynamic leg raise on dip bars. To do this exercise, keep the feet further forward in front of the body at the bottom, and this is going to prevent any swinging. The key is to push the hips forward and actively try to compress the body at the top. The further you lean forward, the harder the exercise feels and the more you'll get from it. I'd recommend you try to minimize momentum and focus on the hip flexors doing all the work, and for the best results, do your best to keep the legs locked straight. This is the easiest hip flexor strengthening exercise because we can create speed from the bottom position to carry us through into the L-sit. Now to make this exercise more challenging, we have to place ourselves into deeper hip flexion to start with. You can do this exercise off a bench, a chair, or anything that's slightly elevated off the ground. If you're someone who feels cramps when doing L-sits mainly on one side, the single leg variation is going to be perfect for you. This allows you to fix side-to-side weaknesses in a really quick way. When it comes to form for this one, lean forward, keep the working leg straight, and control the entire range of motion, trying to do a pause at the top. Think about raising your thigh and trying to compress it to the chest. These absolutely suck, you will cramp, you'll hate me for showing this to you, but I promise your L-sit will get more comfortable and your times will increase if you work on these weaknesses. Once you've worked through the 2 previous versions and want a proper challenge, take the drill to the floor. I wouldn't recommend doing this drill without a wall as the body loves staying in its comfort zone. Take a look at me here for example. Check out how high I can raise my legs because I'm able to rock backwards. This is fake mobility and this is fake strength as you're about to see. Instead, what I recommend is to use a wall. This way your hips are fixed into hip flexion and you won't be able to cheat as much. This simple drill can be made harder by placing your hands further away and leaning forward more. Guys, I'm going to keep it real with you here. My hip flexor strength is average at best. I mean, check out the pure bliss on my face. Can't you tell that I love calisthenics? I'm doing my best to keep the leg locked as straight as I can, staying leaning forward and aiming to keep the movement smooth from start to end. You'll be able to see the massive difference in range of motion when doing this drill strict with a wall compared to doing it without a wall. If you're lazy and don't feel a major difference between sides, do the 2-leg version at the same time. This is more efficient, but it sucks just as much, so don't think that you're getting out of the fun and cramps and pain and discomfort of this exercise by doing the 2-leg variation. If you're someone who wants to improve their forward fold specifically for L-sit application with pointed toes, I've got the drill for you. To calm down the nervous system and decrease your resistance to passive stretch, do the hip elevated pike stretch. By elevating the hips, it encourages the forward lean, and it's an easier way for us tight folks to increase our range of motion without having to flex the back as much. To make our range of motion stick and promote strength at extended hamstring muscle lengths, the standing forward fold is a great drill. This exercise is really effective as your hamstrings will be contracting as they lengthen, which will promote usable range of motion with movement. I recommend elevating the heels on weight plates to simulate the L-sit technique and to remove any calf tightness which might limit your forward fold. Just make sure that after you've worked on lengthening the posterior chain, you superset this straight away with hip flexor strength for the best results. To make progress with calisthenics, you can see clearly why it's important to address your body's specific limitations. Simply doing the exercise over and over won't get you there, and it's a frustrating path to take. To learn how to master your body the smart way with bodyweight training, go to FitnessFAQs.tv and sign up to our training programs and the Bodyweight Academy. Thanks for watching, guys. Leave your thumbs up below and I'll see you next week. And if you made it this far into the video, how long can you currently hold the L-sit for? Drop me a comment below.